Hi there, I'm Ian Justin and I'm a solutions architect at Second Gear and I focus on interactive panels. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Newline, the company, and this panel behind me, which is a Newline panel. We'll talk about the company itself, give you a bit of an idea of that, and then we'll also go into depth and have a bit of a whirlwind tour of the panel behind me. First, a little about Newline, the company. Last year, 1 in 4 panels sold worldwide came from Newline. Newline owns the factory, so even during the supply chain challenges of the pandemic, they were able to maintain production and, of course, maintain deployment. The thing with Newline is that everything is included in the price of the panel. So when you buy the panel, it includes support for the lifetime of the panel, training for the lifetime of the panel. All of the software is included. The IT portal for managing the panel is included as well. So you don't have to think about any of those things. You have warranty, you have on-site repair and replacement of the panel, and shipping as well. Let's look at the panel itself. The easiest way to think of this panel is as a big, huge Android tablet. And if you think of it that way, it gives you a bit of an idea of how you can integrate with it. It's non-partisan from the perspective of it doesn't matter which operating system you want to use to connect to this. Mac OS, Windows, Linux, Chrome, iOS, Android, it really doesn't matter. You're not going to be tied into anything proprietary. Let's talk about the panel itself. I work on the principle that 90% of the people use 20% of the functionality. And what I mean by that is that when people come in, what they really want to do is just turn the panel on and tap on the whiteboard and start using the panel. Now, the focus of Newline is ease of use. So I can walk in, I can immediately start working. And all I'm going to do is start writing in here. Now, this might be 80% of what somebody needs to do. They need to come in and they need to work. Now, I'm using a stylus. The panel comes with some very nice little styli, which are magnetic. I use chopsticks. There's a couple of reasons I use these. One is I don't worry about losing these. The other reason is they are not quite as tappy as the styluses. And the reason for that is, of course, you may be using a microphone if you're doing hybrid learning, and the tapping can be a bit overwhelming and you can't stop hearing it. The other reason is my replacements come from the grocery store and they come with free sushi if you do it that way. So here's the thing, ease of use. We're going to put it on the screen. All I'm going to do, I use the stylus to draw. So I can use the stylus to write, I can use the stylus to draw. I can use my fingers to manipulate this. So I can move around, I can zoom in, I can zoom out just using that. It's an infinite canvas, it's going to go on forever. If I want to erase something, I can just use the back of my hand to erase it. Or the palm of your hand, however you want to do it. Now again, write with the stylus, manipulate with your fingers, and use the back of your hand or the palm of your hand to erase things. Now we might be up to 85% what somebody ever needs to do using this panel. And what we've just seen there is something called object recognition. Now you can turn this off if you want to. Again, it recognizes my stylus, it recognizes my fingers, and it recognizes the back of my hand. If you want to turn that off, you can. If you decide you really want to just draw with your finger, absolutely, you can do that. In fact, you can do a combination of those things. Interestingly, I break down the learning curve into kind of 3 segments, and that's time, quality, and scope. And the reason I say this is that when you bring people up to this panel, educators, you're potentially going to de-skill them. What I mean by that is you've got people who are very familiar teaching using traditional methods, using traditional boards, or even traditional panels. You want to be able to pull them into this very easily so they can jump straight into this. The time, quality, and scope thing means that time is I have to learn this as fast as I can because I want to teach it next week. Quality is I want to learn this as well as I can so I don't look like a fool. So scope is the thing to play with. Now, I just showed you 85% of what you might need to do. Write, manipulate, and erase. Now, I actually taught classes, lessons where I say, okay, let me teach you how to use the panel. Here's how to write, here's how to move it around, here's how to erase it. We're done. And of course, the answer is usually, we're not quite overwhelmed yet. We can probably take a little more of this. So my point is, it breaks down the barrier so you don't think you have to learn everything day one. You can just learn a piece of it and then build on that. But let's look at a couple of other things we can do with the panel. There's 3 little dots down here. If I tap on those dots, I can start to add content to my panel. So for example, if I tap on the image there, I can look around here and I can say I'm going to drop in an image from Pythagoras' theorem. I can actually take this once it's on the screen. If I tap on it, I can manipulate it. I can move it around. I've got some menus here so I can move it around. I can delete it and so on. Again, just pulling something in and manipulating it. You can also pull in other things, like I can put text on the screen, a sticky note for reminders. I can pull in a full PDF document. I can search. There is a browser embedded in this. So if I wanted to search for a particular image, so again, I could pull this up and I can go in there and I can type in Pythagoras. I'll probably get some nice pictures of Pythagoras because I'm searching for images. There you go, that's a nice one there. I'll take that one and I'll drop that one on here and I'll pick it up and I'll put it over here. And again, I'll put it at a nice jaunty angle. Now again, this is an infinite canvas, so you can move this around wherever you want and put it off the screen. We're not going to keep doing this too much, but search for images. You can search the web, so you can search for history and so on in here. You can pull up a YouTube video. So if you wanted to drop a video straight onto here, I can type again, Pythagoras theorem. Pull that into there, see if it's got any ideas for that. What have I got down here? Pull this one up here, let's pull that one in here. So I'll pull the video on the screen and I'll make it full size. And I'm just playing a video back. Again, I'm going to keep the volume nice and low. I don't want to hear this, but you can turn the volume up, of course, if you want to. We'll touch on that a little bit later on. But now, just using this, just playing a video back inside my whiteboard, not a particularly big deal, but there you go. And again, the key with this is to keep it simple so we're not overwhelming people. Let's add a few more things into the whiteboard and keep going. So we've added a few more pieces of content into here. Just a couple of pieces, so I've kept working. I've added some more images and found something on the web. I've also imported a PDF, so you can see I've got a PDF in here on other whiteboard slides where I've got some questions and quizzes in here. Now, what if I wanted to share this with people? Well, down here, or save it away, there's a little QR code icon. If I tap on that, I can choose to say I want to export all of the pages, and because it's multiple pages, I'll make it a PDF, and I'll just say export. Now, we've got a nice QR code in there. Now I can, if I like to, save that to the USB drive. I can save it, or I can use my email to share that with people. What I can also do in here is come in and have, maybe it's an assignment. I can actually have my students take a picture of that QR code. And then what they'll be able to do is get a digital copy of this on their device. And very crude as you see it, but you can see in there, I've now got a digital copy of that sitting on my device and I can move to all those pages. So nice way of sharing the content once you've created the content back with the rest of your audience. Now we can also split the panel. If you want people to interact with the panel, if I click on these three dots again down here, and I can say tap on the canvas and go into split mode. What I'll do is it currently splits into two, but I'll split it into three just so we can see it. And then I'm going to say, Jane, you're going to work in green. Frank, you're going to work in yellow, and Peter, you're going to work in blue. And now each of these canvases can be used by the individuals, and of course they can use them at the same time if you want them to as well. So this allows you to split it up and let people interact with it. Now, of course, you could use this yourself if you're actually doing multiple challenges at the same time. Now let's go and take a look at the home page. On the side here, I've got some icons. Now the top one is the whiteboard overlay, then I've got the whiteboard, my home page, and then go back. The bottom one you can customize to go to your favorite device if you want to. I'm going to go home. Now on the home here, we can customize this. We'll change the look and feel of this. We'll show you how to do that. On the top here, I've got a clock. If you want to tap on that, you can actually have a stopwatch and things like that in here if you want to. Here are my main tiles. These are my favorites. If you want to change any of these things, all you have to do is hold on them, and then eventually you'll be able to say, I want to change that and make this something different. I'm going to leave it where it is because I quite like my whiteboard there. Down at bottom here, I've got my favorite gadgets, and over here, I've got the inputs. We're going to look at all of these as we go through. Let's first of all take a look at the browser itself. So here, I've got a browser. Now this is Chromium browser. If you want to put the full Chrome browser on here, you can. You can download applications. You're not just tied to particular applications in here. You can actually turn this and change it to load the full Chromium browser from the Google Play Store if you want to. So if you want to load those, you can. I've got Pythagoras history in one of the tabs in here. And this is just a browser I'm going through in here. So I can go through this. He was born in Samos in Greece. And I can pull these things. By the way, if you ever wanted to pull something in, you find it useful, at any time you can toggle on the whiteboard overlay anywhere in the panel. I might say let's find this here. Very interesting that this one here was something I was interested in learning about. And then I can say, you know what, take that. I like that. Let's take a crop around that there. It was interesting. And what we'll do is why don't you just drop that onto my whiteboard for me? So it's going to drop it in. Now I've got that on my whiteboard and I've continued to kind of build on this same thing with my whiteboard here. So it becomes kind of a central place for me to put things in here. Again, just all tied together, very simple. Go back home again. So I've got a browser in there. You can use a full browser if you want to. You've got a file viewer here. Now the file viewer, file commander, file viewer, explorer, whatever you want to call it. A couple of things interesting. You can see the storage. In the panel itself, there is 16 gigabytes of storage. There's also an SD card in the back of the panel, which comes with the panel. You can, of course, update that or upgrade that yourself. Newline here, that is actually my thumb drive, my USB thumb drive, which is sitting in the front of the panel, just plugged into one of the front ports. I've also got, if you want to add a cloud to this, a cloud storage, you can do that from here. I've got my Gmail attached to Google Drive attached to that, so I can see I've got my drives in there as well. Again, up to you how you set those up. Some nice categories down here. So the categories allow you to search a little more easily. So for example, if I click on videos, instead of having to go through all of my drives and search and see where the videos are, it tells me how many videos are on each of these drives. There's nothing on my Google Drive. I don't have to waste time trying to find a video on there. If you do find a video, for example here, it's going to tell me all the videos. I'm pretty sure at the bottom here, here's an MP4. Tap on it, brings it up on the screen, starts playing it back. Now, interestingly here, if I scroll with my right hand,
to ensure that the Great Lakes
if I scroll on the right of the screen, sorry, not my right hand, if I scroll on the right of the screen, I can change the volume. If I scroll on the left of the screen, I can change the brightness if you want to, which is useful if you happen to find that the volume is screaming at people and you just want to come up and turn it down. There is, of course, a remote control. If you want to use a remote control, there's there, but you are invariably going to lose that. You can also, if you want to, take all 4 fingers and you can swipe up from the bottom. And if you do that, you get the quick control. So here I can just play with the volume. Play with the volume from there. So a lot of the controls are sitting there. So just swipe up from the bottom of the screen with 4 fingers, you have the same thing happening. Let's go back. There you go. So anyway, that's a bit about there. There's also a vault in here. So if you want to have private files in there, you can have them and you can have them passcoded so people can't get to them. If you have some Windows or Word documents or things like this, what I can do is let's go to my drive here. And if I look down through my demos, let's see if I can find some regular PowerPoints down here, PowerPoint. What I want to do is just look, if you have a PowerPoint in here, I can tap on that PowerPoint and it's just going to open in the included Office suite. So you don't have to worry about installing. This is all included in here. So you're just going to open up a document. It's going to open up in Office. As you can see, it looks like PowerPoint. If I go up into the corner here and tap on the dots, I can say start the slideshow of this. And all I need to do now is swipe, and I can swipe through my document. So I'm just swiping through it. Whatever dreadful things you've done with animations are going to be faithfully reproduced inside here. If I need to do something specific, mark up something, I can tap on that whiteboard overlay here. I'll get rid of the one I had on there. Let's tidy that up. And now what I can do is I can pick something that's going to work in here. I can say Newline 100% owned, 1 in 4 panels. Gives you an idea of this. Now, if you decided to get rid of that, I'll get rid of it. This is automatically saved. So you don't have to worry about saving this content. It's going to be saved away for you. I've got my panel set that it will purge after 7 days. The content, once it's 7 days old, it will purge my content, so I don't have to worry about it. But it's nice just to have things saved away for you. If you want to, you can obviously pull up a PDF. All of those things you can pull up inside here and just use them from that file commander. Let's look at gadgets. So across here we see gadgets. Now gadgets are applications or apps, depending on what you want to call them. Across here I've got some of my favorites, but if I tap on this one here, it'll show me the gadgets I have installed. Now remember, there is a Newline app store. That Newline store is curated. By curated, it means that if you were looking at it in the class, it's not going to bring up inappropriate things. It's focused on things that are appropriate for education and so on. Here I can, for example, look for games, and it's going to show me all the games that I want to use inside here. So again, appropriate. If I look at news, it's going to show me the news applications. So in this case, the BBC. You can see I've already installed the BBC application onto here. So that's the App Store. Now, if you want to install applications from Google Play, you can absolutely do that. But obviously, you might want to do that in a little bit more of a controlled manner. When you install the applications, all my applications are listed over here, so I can go through them there. You can see I've installed WebEx and Zoom from the Play Store because I wanted to do that. Over here, I've got my favorite apps down here. So for example, I can go to, over here I've got Google Earth, so I can tap on Google Earth. It'll bring up Google Earth, and I can use that in here. So it's just, again, it's just a big Android tablet is the way to think of this. You're not being tied down to particular applications. If I wanted to find something, I think we said that, didn't we say that Samos in Greece was where Pythagoras was born? So we can go in here, it's going to go and find that, and it's a big map, so it's going to make me feel dizzy if I look at it too much. But a nice way of just having something playing back inside here. And again, still very interactive for you to play with inside here. So we've looked at that. Let's take a look now at what happens when we come over to here. There's the inputs over here. Now, white means I've got something attached to it, where it's actually connected. If it's just grayed out, it means there's nothing attached to it. If I were to pick up my phone, go into here, open up my phone with my face recognition, and just connect my phone into this one here, it will then go white. So I've connected it. And if I tap on it once, it will give me a preview of what that device looks like. So this allows you to see a preview, a small preview, before you share it back on the wider panel, which is useful. It's a career sensible thing to do, not to share it back. If I want to share it back with people, I tap on it. It'll open it up on the panel. Now, this was the content we were looking at before, where we actually had downloaded the whiteboard. So you can see in here now what we did with that, and what is a nice high quality digital copy we're using in here. So people could take this. This is the one they downloaded from the whiteboard. Let's go back home again into here. If I have a PC, there's a built-in PC in this. If you want that, you can use that. You can customize these. If I tap on this and long tap on it, I can change that to whatever I want it to be. So if I decide I want to make it a Mac or Chromebook or whatever it is, I can do that. If I double tap on it straight away, it'll take me straight to that device. When you connect a device, you connect with an HDMI and a USB cable. The HDMI takes the audio and the video, and the USB cable turns this into a big touch PC. So now instead of me just using this PC, I can use this, and I can actually use this as a touch PC. My PC isn't a touch PC, it's just my drive there. It's just an Acer, but I'm now turned it into a touch PC. So you have the benefit then of not hiding, but not being behind a monitor when you're presenting back to people. You can be in front, presenting your PC, but still have presence in front of the class. That's the idea of this. While we're here, it's a good chance to look at the Newline Display Manager. We'll log into that. The Newline Display Manager is something which comes with Newline, and it allows the IT group to manage the panels from a central portal, well, from a portal anywhere you are, I guess. I've got one device connected to this. That's actually this panel, and I tap on it. It's going to tell me what I need to know about this device. So you can see, I can see how much storage is being used. I can look down here, learn about how it's connected, the CPU in here. I can learn about where it's connected on the Wi-Fi, what it's connected to. And then down here, I can look at the actual configuration of this device. So how they've set up the sources, whether it's set to power off. I clear my whiteboard after 7 days, smart eye protection, and I can look at the firmware down there. So this is your IT group looking at this now. It's good for the IT group because they can manage all the panels from a central location. It's good for the educators because they don't have to panic when something goes wrong, or they want to stop an application, or they want something installed. They can call the IT group. They can do it without coming towards the panel. Here are the applications launched. So you can see I had Starfall's list on here. Now I can delete it, I can stop it, I can force a stop of that application if I want to from there. And over here you can install applications from Google Play, you can send a message to all the panels, you can find the location of the panel, which is interesting because if somebody was, I'm in Guelph in Canada, if somebody was running off with my panel and they were big enough to take it away, I'm not sure I'm going to chase after them. To manage the power, and then you can also, as an IT, from the IT perspective, you can go down and you can actually do a firmware update on these from here. You can also remote into the panel. So I'm not going to remote into this panel whilst I'm on this panel, that will be freaky, but it means you can actually remote in with permission or just by automatically, and then you can take over the panel, you can work on the settings, you can fix things, you can force a stop of something, all of that from a remote location as an IT professional, which is going to make it a lot easier for everybody. Again, if you use particular whiteboards, like you use Microsoft Whiteboard or Google Jamboard on your PC, just use it on the panel. You're going to be able to work on the panel, but still have presence as opposed to being kind of once separated from people behind a monitor. Let's go back home again. A couple of other things worth mentioning in here. The ability to do screen sharing. Now, screen sharing is maybe a slight misnomer. It's called Newline Cast. Now, if I tap on it, what it allows me to do is to have other people cast from the devices up to the panel. So it's going to start it up here, and what it's going to do is I'll go onto my device here, and I'll find the display note application. So it's going to ask me to type in the session ID, 314 198. Now you can do it obviously from a web, or you can install the application. You just go to a browser if you want to. Now this is a list. You can have up to 4 people in the queue there. You can have up to 4 people sharing at the same time if you want to. Now I'm going to invite Frank to present. Invite Frank to present. Waiting on Frank. Frank now has the option to say, oh, I'd like to present. I'll start my broadcast from here. 3, 2, 1. It's going to broadcast back. And I'll pull this up, and then you'll be able to see my screen. So now you're looking. Now what I'm doing now is I'm not connected now. I'm not attached. I'm actually monitoring. Now the nice thing about this is I'm actually broadcasting from my device, and it's cloud-based. So I don't need to be on the same network. I don't need to be in the same room. I don't need to be in the same state. I could be broadcasting to the panel, and it's going to respect the orientation of my device as well. Now you can do this from Chromebooks, you can do this from anything. It's just go to the website, you can do it from there. It allows people to broadcast up the screen. That's one way of doing it. Let me stop from here. The other way, so I'm casting to the screen. The other option for this is to cast from the screen, or broadcast. Now I haven't got it as a favorite here, but if I go across to here, oh, there it is, down there. There's one called Newline Broadcast. Now if I tap on that one, this is something you might start up at the same start of your lesson. So I say start broadcast. You might just start that and then walk away. So it was 2 taps to get it going. Now, in here, what I can do is I can broadcast to up to 200 devices at the same time. So I'm going to go to broadcast online here on my device, and then I'm going to look and I'm going to say join a broadcast 835104. 835104. And I'm going to join from my device. Now what's happening now is it's actually broadcasting from here to my device. So now what I can do is I can go back to my whiteboard in here, and on my device here you'll see that I have board being broadcast to my device. Now, why might you use this? Well, of course, you could use this if people were in remote locations. Chances are you're going to use Zoom or WebEx or something to do that. But really handy if you're in the same location. So say you're in a classroom and you want to broadcast the panel to another monitor, well, you can do that. What you can do is you can have people who are still seeing your presence or understanding your presence in front of the panel, but they could be like doing this and taking a look at this on their mobile device. So even though they're seeing you, they may not be able to see what's going on behind you just because it's reasonably far away. They could be looking at you, get you an idea of your presence, your animation, your passion, and then to just be looking at their devices to see the details. If you have somebody with accessibility challenge, they can be doing exactly the same thing and just accessing it from their mobile, from their device, from their laptop, from their notebook, whatever you want to do. So they can be accessing from there. Very useful tool, again, cloud-based, so you don't have to worry about being on the same network when you do that either. Let's cover most of the things I wanted to cover in here. So let's kind of reiterate what we're doing here. So the key with this is ease of use, and hopefully you've seen that. It was just a case of coming in. What do? We tapped on the whiteboard, we started working away with our pencil. That's one of the keys with this. The other key with this is these panels come with everything. Now you also have the option, every panel comes with 2 licenses of Octopus Game Zones, which is an interactive learning games platform where you can actually have people come up and learn about numbers, learn about the life cycle of a frog, things like that, so science and social studies and things like that. That's part of this. You also have access to licenses of Octopus Learning, which is Quizdom software. So the ability to create lessons, the ability to run lessons back through here, so more sophisticated lesson creation software. I haven't been into that. If you need to do that, we can go through that in more detail with you. But that's an idea to give you just a quick run through of what you can do with this panel. If you need to know more, contact your second gear representative and we'll be more than glad to give you more information on this. I hope this was useful. Thank you for your time.